କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ବସ ପାର୍ଟିସିପାଣ୍ଟ लिंक पठे दिखाँ स्ट्रीम स्टार्ट कर दिखाँ स्ट्रीम स्टार्ट है ये ओबीएस दिखाँ
ओबीएस चलती
स्टार्ट कर दे दे दो लिंक दे दो कॉपी कर मेल 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 दिखाँ
मत आगे देखे मुझे टेस्ट करे कि नहीं यूट्यूब लिंक पर दबा सब
आप कर दिखाँ देखो तो अगर देखो तो सार पशिले ना नाई
गूगल मीट खोला
मीडियो अच्छी मीडियो अच्छी
कोटा
एटा
एटा ही थिला
हां
वेबिनार रे
ना एटा नो
हैं
ना को एटा ना को
एटा तो ना करो एटा आसोनी पूरा
आज जो एटा कोन चेंज करछन देख
सेटा तो कोन चेंज कर एठी आसले यूट्यूब रे आसले
एटा एनईपी अछि तो एनईपी अछि
नहीं एटा ये वाला आसी गूगल मीट कौन नेम अच्छी गूगल मीट यूट्यूब
गूगल मीट एनईपी अछि एनईपी
तनी जो के मग सो को ना
एटा मतलब
हेलो
आसीला
गूगल नहीं ये करूँ रेकर्डिंग करूँ रेकर्डिंग करूँगा रेकर्डिंग करूँगा ठीक अच्छे देखो ना ठीक अच्छे बर्तमान छाड़ लिंक टाइप शेयर करूँ
historia ha
लिंक शेयर करूँ लिंक शेयर करूँ फिर
हां शेयर कर दे तो
ठीक है जी এটা গুগল মিট এটা সে সার পশিলে না নাই
प्रिंसिपल को से
କାହିଁକି ତାଙ୍କଟା କାହିଁ
से तुम्हें जाओ आमे करछु माने से आउथरे नले कर दे
ଦେଖ ନା ତାଙ୍କଟା କାହିଁ ପ୍ରିନ୍ସିପାଲ ତ ନାହିଁ ଏଠି ଦେଖ
एठी नाही प्रिंसिपल
ଦେଖଉନି ଯେ ତାଙ୍କର
से बार बार करिया कथा ना
ଆଉ ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଯାଇଥିବ ତାଙ୍କର
हां बंद कर दे तो आरे
ठीक अच्छे आम से लिंकटा देदेव बर्तमान है
रेकर्डिंग कौन पे मार चली
किसी असुविधा पार्टी कर तो बंद अच्छे बर्तमान से यहाँ को लिंकटा लिंकटा दिखाँ आपन को जाइए पूरा से लिंकटा दिखाँ मो व्हाट्सएप पूरा immediate प्रिंसिपल कहीं
सर नमस्ते।
सर नमस्कार।
सर नाइस टू सी यू।
सर
So he was trying to call you again and again. Maybe you are traveling somewhere. There is a congestion in network. Then I called you.
सर
रोन ହେଲା ଏବେ କଲ୍ ଆସିବ ବୋଲା ତ ଏବେ ଦେଇଦିଅ ପ୍ରିନ୍ସିପାଲ୍ ଗଲା ତ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଏଇ ତ ଏଇଥିପାଇଁ ତ ପଶିବେନି ପଶି ଯାଇଥିବେ ମୋତେ ଲାଗୁଛି ଆଗ ଇଏରେ
ଆଗରୁ
ବୁଝନ୍ତୁ ନା
ଦେଲେ ସେଇଟା ଗୁଗଲ ମିଟ୍ ନା
ହେଲା କି ଦେଉଛି ସବୁ ହଁ ସେଇଟା ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ଥାଉ सर नमस्कार सर नमस्कार
सर नमस्कार।
सर I was trying you several times but you are
Oh, that.
totally unreachable.
Oh, right, sir.
Thank you sir.
Sorry. Dr. Panda, good afternoon, please.
Good afternoon sir. Thank you. We have joined. We were expecting if any congestion will be there, so that will be.
No issue, sir. No, I am there on the
Okay,
air.
sir. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. साउंड बंद कर दो ହେଲା ତ ହଁ ଏଇଟା ପରା ଏଇଟା ଠିକ୍ ହଁ ସେଇଟା ହିଁ ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ଆଉ କିଛି କରନ୍ତୁନି ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ସେ ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ନେଉଛି ସେଇଟା ସେ ଜନ କଲେ ବି ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ସେ ନେଉଛି
ସିଏ ପର ଇଏରେ ପଶିବାର ବହୁତ ଅଭ୍ୟାସ ଅଛି ନା
ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ତ ठीक है ठीक अच्छे आ नबनी से खाली जस्ट देखेब
Satya, am I audible? Satya? Satya?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, before the commencement of this session, I would like to request all the participants, please mute yourself and also don't press your present button, so that that won't create unnecessary trouble for us, for our resource persons, as well as for the organizers also. So, now we shall start the session. Good afternoon, everyone. With the blessings of Lord Jagannath, let me begin today's session. Esteemed Principal of Udala College, revered speakers of today's national webinar, Professor Ramakant Mohalik sir and Professor Rajiv Ratan Sharma sir, and respected staff members and students. At the very outset, I, Dr. Prafulla Kumar Panda, IQAC coordinator of Udala College, express my sincere gratitude to all the participants who have joined from different parts of the country and from abroad as well, for your kind support and cooperation. It's a pleasure and privilege for me to welcome you all to this virtual platform. Here I also welcome our Honorable Principal Sir, Professor Gopal Chandra Behera, who has been very much cooperative for us for organizing a series of webinars. In fact, this is our 8th webinar, and we are also expecting, if Sir's cooperation and support and motivation will be there for us, we will organize some more in the coming days. I also welcome Professor Bholanath Sahu sir, HOD Education and convener of today's session, and Dr. Santosh Kumar Panda sir, co-convener of this session, and respected IQAC Assistant Coordinator Satyabrata sir. I welcome you all to today's webinar on the topic Educational Transformation through National Education Policy 2020. Further, it's a matter of honor and privilege for me to welcome our honorable resource persons and speakers of this session, Professor Dr. Ramakant Mohalik sir, who is my friend also, and somehow he is a great motivator for me. Professor, he is currently the Professor of Education, Regional Institute of Education, RI Bhubaneswar, and Dr. Rajiv Ratan Sharma sir, who is now a Professor and Head, Department of Education, University of Jammu, India. Sir, I on behalf of Principal, Udala College, and IQAC, and from all staff members, I extend my sincere gratitude and respect to you both for giving us time and being a part of this webinar. I sincerely extend a warm welcome to both of you, sir, to this August session. Hope our speakers' deliberation will be a fruitful and enlightening one, and from which we can get some useful information and learn a lot on new education policy 2020 and what sort of information, what sort of transformation it can bring in to our educational sphere in the coming days. So, as for our agenda, now I would like to request our Honorable Principal, Professor Gopal Chandra Behera sir, to present his presidential address to this August gathering. Professor Gopal Chandra sir, Principal sir, now it's your time. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Panda sir. First of all, I, Professor Gopal Chandra Behera, Principal of Udala College, Udala. Congratulations to you all to this education webinar. Esteemed research person, Professor Dr. Rajiv Ratan Sarma sir, HOD, Department of Education, University of Jammu, in the state of Jammu, India, and Professor Dr. Ramakanta Mohalik sir, Department of Education, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Respected participants, researcher, student of Education Department, my respected colleagues. At the very outset, I thank you all for joining in our second national level webinar organized by Department of Education in collaboration with IQAC Udala College, Udala. I extend my heartfelt thanks to the HOD and convener Department of Education, Professor Bhavnath Sahu sir, and co-convener Dr. Santosh Kumar Panda sir, for sincerely organizing this webinar. I also extend my special thanks to IQAC coordinator Dr. Prafulla Kumar Panda sir and assistant coordinator Professor Satyavrat Malik for taking all technical initiatives to upgrade such an webinar in our college with an aim to inspire and update our students, teachers, as well as researchers' knowledge during this pandemic situation. It's my pleasure and privilege to deliver a few words about my college. Udala College, Udala was established in the year 1965. The institution became a full-fledged degree college in the year 1971. Utkal University, Bani granted affiliation for honors courses of education in 1998-99. Being one of the premier college in the district of Mayurbhanj in Odisha as well, we have total 40 numbers of honors subjects. Our students have made us proud by securing topper position under Sri Ramchandra Bhanjadeva University since 2002 till the year. I extend my special thanks to the department teachers like Professor P. Mohapatra, Professor Miss P. Patra, Professor B. N. Sao, and Dr. S. K. Panda, respectively. This college is accredited with B double plus by NEP in the year 2016. Innovation and rejuvenation has become the catchword to excel the future of the college. Our unity and dedication will bridge the gap between mission and achievements. Today's webinar topic is educational transformation through National Education Policy 2020. The National Education Policy 2020, which was approved by the Union Cabinet of India on 29th July 2020, outlines the vision of India's new education system. The new education policy replaces the previous national education policy on the year 1986. The NEP 2020 aims for universalization of education from preschool to secondary level with 100% of gross enrollment ratio, that is GER, in school education by 2020 and aims to raise GER in higher education to 50% by 2025. NEP 2020 will bring 2 crores out of school children back into the mainstream. NEP 2020 will give importance to the students' practical knowledge instead of just pushing them towards rote learning. The NEP 2020 aims to make it easier to set up new quality of higher educational institute which will be at par with the global standards. The key features of NEP 2020 is to provide liberty, responsibility, pluralism, equality, and justice to the active members of teaching learning process. I hope two genius resource persons who are with us are Professor Dr. Rajiv Ratan Sharma and Professor Dr. Ramakant Mahalik will analyze comprehensively regarding NEP 2020. Please wait and listen from them. Finally, I congratulate the organizers for arranging such an informative and successful session on the very topic. I wish all success of the webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words and your brief information regarding NPE 2020, which has been introduced in the recent past. Now, I would like to request Professor Bholanath Sahu sir, HOD Education and convener of this session, to give a brief introduction of the topic. Professor Sahu sir, please. Hello, please unmute yourself, sir. Bholanath sir, please unmute. Please unmute, sir. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Panda Babu. I, Professor Bholanath Sahu, Head of the Department of Education, Udala College, Udala, Mayurbhanj, Odisha, welcome to you all to the national level webinar of Udala College, Udala. Esteemed Professor Gopal Chandra Behera, the Principal, Udala College, Udala, Mayurbhanj, respected the genius resource person, Professor Dr. Rajiv Ratan Sharma, Head of the Department of Education, Jammu University in the state of Jammu, India, and Professor Dr. Ramakant Mahalik, Department of Education, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, my assistant, Dr. Santosh Kumar Panda, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Prafulla Kumar Panda, IQAC Co-Coordinator, Professor Satyavrata Mallik, respected participants, researchers of different institutions, all professors, teachers and non-teachers of my college, media persons, my beloved students of Udala College, Udala, and from other different colleges of the country. Today's webinar topic is Educational Transformation through National Education Policy 2020. Basing on the topic, I would like to present very shortly regarding the history of the appointment of the education committees. The Charter Act 1813 made a state system of education in India officially. This clause of Charter Act 1813 compelled the East India Company to accept the responsibility for the education of India by granting 1 lakh rupees only. The Charter Act 1813 passed by the British Parliament renewed the East India Company charter for another 20 years. This was called the East India Company Act 1813 also. This act is important in that it defined for first time the constitutional position of British India territories. This principles was changed in post-independent India. In post-independent India, the government of India wanted to bring a graphical change in the field of primary education secondary education, and higher education also. So the first NEP was formed in 1968, and after 20 years, so to say, NEP 1986 was formed, and it brought historical change in the different levels of education. After 34 years, due to the rapid change of society, National Education Policy 2020 was approved by the Union Cabinet of India 29th July 2020, outlines the vision of India's new education system. The new policy replaces the previous national policy on education 1986. The government is planning the first phase of implementation of the National Education Policy 2020. Sources told Money Control that the initial phase will be completed by April 2022. It will involve reforms on school education. It will help the students to develop scientific temper from the young age. The NEP 2020 aims to make it easier to set up new quality of higher educational institute which will be at with the global ed standards. NEP 2020 hopes to give learning opportunity to build their repertoire of skill through industry integrated, innovative vocational courses and new skills. The pedagogy of vocational courses requires replicating authentic workplace scenarios for experimental learning. Then, I would like to present some important salient features of NEP 2020 very shortly. The first and most important salient feature is fundamental principles of the policy. And this policy contains, number one, recognizing, identifying and fostering the unique capabilities of each student. Second, to achieving fundamental literacy. Number third, flexibility. Number four, no hard separation. Number five, creative and critical thinking. Number six, extensive use of technology like more and more. And the second important salient feature is the vision of the policy. The third one is quality universities and colleges. The fourth one is more holistic and multidisciplinary education. Number fifth is optimal learning environment and support for students. Number six, internationalism. Number seven, students' activity and participation. Number eight, financial support for students, equity and inclusion in higher education. Number 10, reimagining vocational education. Number 11, quality academic research in the educational field. Number 12, effective governance and leadership. Number 13, professional education. Number 14, promotion of Indian language, art and culture. As per my view, NEP 2020 can be separated into two broad categories, such as NEP 2020 in school education, and the second one may be pointed out NEP 2020 in higher education. So I can express my view regarding the NEP 2020 in school education. What is the rules? It focuses on essentials, core essentials. Second, stress on the importance of literacy and numeracy skills. Number third, promoting multilingualism and the power of language. Number four, change of classroom teaching. Number five, changes in the essential pattern. Number 6, no hard separation between subjects and discipline. Number 7, vocational training and coding will start from class 6. And we also find some changes between the NEP 2020 and NEP 1986. So what is the difference? Simply I can point it out. The NEP 2020 expands age group of 6-14 years of mandatory schooling from 3-18 years of schooling. The NEP 2020 introduces either uncovered 3 years of preschooling age, group of 3 years to 6 years. Under the school curriculum, the new system will have 12 years of schooling with 3 years of preschooling. And NEP 2020 in the place of higher education. To help students learn as per their will, the new policy has introduced a holistic and multidisciplinary undergraduate education approach. It allows students with a flexibility to combine multidisciplinary subjects along with integration of vocational courses. Undergraduate program can be either 3 years or 4 years. Then I request you all to learn more and more regarding NEP 2020 from our resource person categorically, Professor Dr. Ramakanta Mohalik, who will present about the transformation of school education through NEP 2020, and Professor Dr. Rajiv Ratan Sharma will speak regarding the transformation of higher education through NEP 2020 comprehensively. I request all, please wait and will listen freely and learn more and more regarding NEP 2020. Thank you a lot to all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words on NEP 2020. Now it's a time to introduce our speakers. The first speaker of today's session is Professor Dr. Ramakanta Mohalik. Now let me introduce him to this august gathering. It's my honor and privilege to welcome and introduce our first resource person and speaker of today's session to this august gathering. At present, Dr. Ramakanta Mohalik is working as Professor of Education at Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, under NCERT, Government of India. Dr. Mohalik started his career as a lecturer in education in 2004 at Regional Institute of Education, RIE, Mysore. He joined RIE Bhubaneswar in 2006. Afterward, in 2010, he went to Vishwabharati Shantiniketan, West Bengal, and worked there as a reader of education for 1 year. However, since 2011 onward, he has been working in RIE Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Professor Mohalik has been a brilliant teacher, academician, and a good innovator, and also a great motivator. During his professional career, he has successfully performed his duties and responsibilities. He has introduced innovative models and best practices in teaching and learning process, including quality improvement for the teacher and assessment methodology in teaching. He has also established networks with various organizations like NCERT, NCTE, UGC, MHRD, and other leading teacher training institutes in India. Professor Mohalik has 17 years of UG and PG teaching and research experience. He possesses a dynamic personality. He is one of the most popular innovative trendsetters of quality teaching in higher education institutes of India. As a teacher and an academician, he has published more than 70 research articles in national and international journals. He has delivered more than 60 extension lectures in different colleges and universities in India through online and offline mode. He has also delivered several keynote addresses in different state, national and international conferences and webinars and in NCRT TV portal too. Professor Mahalik has completed 6 major research projects funded by national funding agencies. Till date, 9 students have been awarded PhD under his supervision and 8 more scholars are now pursuing their PhD in education under his active guidance. Professor Mahalik's area of specialization is research methods and statistics in education and ICT in education and professional development of educators. Sir, really all the staff members of Udala College are immensely honored to get you as a speaker for today's national webinar on the topic Educational Transformation through National Education Policy 2020. Sir, once again on behalf of Principal, Udala College, staff and IQAC, I welcome you to this virtual session and hand over this session to you, sir. Over to you, sir. Malik, sir, please continue. Now it's your time. You can deliver your talk, sir.
So namaskar to one and all present in the virtual meeting.
Namaskar, namaskar.
At the outset, I offer my sincere thanks to the administration of Udala College, Udala, respected Principal Udala College, Professor Gopal Chandra Behera, Head Department of Education, Udala College, Professor Bholanath Sahu, Dr. Santosh Kumar Ponda, the Faculty Member, Department of Education, the Coordinator, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Udala College, Dr. P.K. Panda, my friend, and co-coordinator, Mr. Satyabrat Maulik, Udala College, and respected Professor Rajiv Ratna Sharma ji, all the students, scholars, faculty members, friends. So it is a immense pleasure for me to be part of this national webinar, which is focusing on one of the very important topic, that is transformation of education through national education policy. Two things are very important. So one aspect is a transformation of education, another is a very recent is National Education Policy 2020. So Dr. Bholanath Sahu has given some idea about the National Education Policy, and he has cited some of the principles that is recommended, that is listed in the National Education Policy. So my presentation will be focusing on 3 important aspects I will focus on. First aspect I will tell to the faculty members. Many faculty members, they may be out of education department, students, research scholars. The making of education policy. That means how education policy was made. Especially this education policy is something different than earlier policy. How it was made, how it was done. And the second aspect, I will be focusing on some of the very, very important features of National Education Policy 2020. Even for presenting detailed presentation about National Education Policy relating to school education, it will take more than 1 hour presentation, but I will highlight only the important aspect that is one must know it. And the third aspect, because school education and teacher education are very closely related, maybe 5 minutes I can speak on teacher education. What kind of teacher education was suggested in the National Education Policy 2020. So let me start with transformation. So we are talking about, even if you listen to the people, those who are directly involved in the making of National Education Policy, like Kasturi Rangan. So he talk about, whenever he speak, he talk about this education policy will bring a transformation in the education system. So our education system will be transformed to a new kind of education, with a new kind of curricula, with a new kind of teacher, with a new kind of examination system. So the transformation I mean is a kind of systematic change this education policy will bring in the field of school education, teacher education, also in higher education. So I'll make a presentation, and side by side I'll make my discussion clear. But these are the main points. I'll focus on this. Let us go by the presentation I have prepared. Okay. I will give a brief background of the National Education Policy 2020. Like as Dr. Bholanath sir was telling, so he has given a very the remote history of educational policy making. But let me share with you the educational policy making efforts in India after independence. We are all known the University Education Commission 1948, which was mainly focusing on university education, college education. Then another policy came in 1950-53, the Secondary Education Commission, the Kothari Education Commission, the National Policy on Education 1968 and 86. The last education policy was 1986. Of course, the Government of India has brought a program of action in 1992, but the program of action is not a education policy. So therefore, the 1986 was the policy. So that was preceded by the new education policy 2020. Then there are some other policy documents you are aware about. One of the very important document that created by NCERT, that is National Curriculum Framework in 2000, National Curriculum Framework 2005. These are two documents that is related to school education, but these two documents has really created a divide in the field of school education and teacher education. You can find a clear-cut distinction of school education before 2005 and school education after 2005. And the latest document which has brought the India into a forefront, that is Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, and popularly we say that is Right to Education Acts. These are some of the background of National Education Policy 2020, because this new policy is based on based on the comments, the suggestions, the lacunas of our previous education policies that was formed in India after independence. But usually, policy document is totally 65 pages. The National Education Policy 2020 is only 65 pages. But sometimes as a student, as a scholar, as a teacher, we should know. So how this policy is framed? But I have less idea about the National Education Policy, how it was formed 1986. But I have complete idea about how the National Education Policy 2020 was formed. This is the only education policy which has framed by or contributed by each and every stakeholders of education. I can say each and every citizen of this country contributed for making this National Education Policy 2020. So because there is a record, what I am telling, this is not I am telling in blank. Why I am telling? Because I was involved in this policy making. Personally, I have direct experience of involving in making of the National Education Policy. So to make this education policy, the policy work was started in 2015. Imagine, the work was started in 2015 in form of a consultation at the village level, at the block level, at the district level, state level, regional level, putting different state, then at the national level. So what I want to say, all the stakeholders, students' points, students' view, parents' view, teachers' views, HM's view, university faculty view are taken into account during this consultation meeting. Because I was given the charge of making consultation in the state of Jharkhand. We have organized a series of consultation at the block, district and state level. So from there some points came out. I will tell you what are the points that came out from different consultation meeting. So one is the consultation meeting at different levels was done to make the National Education Policy 2020 because the present government was in intention that our education policy should express the views of the every citizen. Education policy should not be framed by only educationists. Of course, finally it will be finalized by the educationists, but a common man should say about what should be the quality of education and what should be the maybe the strategy of teaching and what should be the outcome of education. So these were the intention why there is a large consultation was there at different levels. So not only the common citizen, there are many NGO, the civil society, even the retired educationists, the scientists, the engineers, they have given their comments, their suggestion, and for which the Government of India opened a portal, My Government portal. The comments, views, suggestions were invited online from different people, and the Government of India consolidated all the comments, all the suggestions, and finally a draft National Education Policy was prepared, and which was really a voluminous documents. It's more than 300-400 pages, the draft that was prepared after the consultation. But this education policy, the document that you see here is a 65 pages document. It is prepared under the chairmanship of Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan. and it was passed in the Indian cabinet on 29th July 2020. Even for your information, I want to tell you, once Cabinet approved the National Education Policy 2020, the Government of India has organized a series of webinars, a series of meetings with all the stakeholders to convince the stakeholders what is plus point in this national education policy and why this national education policy is better than earlier policy, why all the stakeholders should share the responsibility in the successful implementation of national education policy. The government has done a lot of discussion. I think more discussion will be coming. So let me tell you, if you see the national education policy, the 65 pages document, there are 4 parts are there. The part 1 is relating to school education. Part 2 is relating to higher education. Part 3 is really relating to professional education, adult education, online education, teacher education, that is. And the last part, part 4 is making it happen. What does it mean? It means that it has given a guideline how this national education policy can be implemented in the school level, at the college level, at the university level. I suggest all of you please read it. But what is the vision of the National Education Policy 2020? The brilliant vision. So this vision of the National Education Policy has taken from Sustainable Development Goal 4. You know the Sustainable Development Goal 4 or Sustainable Development Goal prepared by UNESCO. UNESCO is an international organization which is working for the betterment of education. So there are 30 sustainable development goals are there, and there is a sustainable development goal 4 which was taken by the National Education Policy 2020 as one of the vision. The vision of this education policy is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. So education should be available to each and every children and adults. There should not be any disparity, any inequality in providing quality education. Not only that, the vision of this education policy is to promote the lifelong learning. Now for learning there is no age bar. But if you read this education policy, you will find that education is not confined to a particular age. Rather, somebody can continue education for which now you have a online courses are there, distance courses are there. There is no age bar for learning. So inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong learning was the main vision of National Education Policy 2020. It may be school education and higher education both. And the second vision, create vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all. Because nowadays everybody is agree, knowledge is power. Therefore, we should create a knowledge society. So knowledge can bring our economic development, our scientific development, even our cultural and spiritual development. So this education will transform our education into a vibrant system. And the last vision of education is develop deep sense of respect towards rights, duties, and constitutional values and world citizenship. One thing, if you observe the present society and the act of the children and act of the adults, you will find everybody is cautious about their rights. Many people, majority of us, we are cautious about rights, but many of us we we ignore our duties, we ignore the value of constitution, and therefore through this education policy government want to develop a sense of rights, also duties and constitutional values. Not only that, this education policy want to develop a global citizenship, something, world citizenship. We are not only Indians, we are also part of the world, because different countries of the world, we are interdependent, we are interrelated, and therefore we cannot be so selfish because we are Indian. Whatever we will do only for Indians. No, whatever we do, that has a great impact for other countries, and therefore a sense of world citizenship is required for this. I think I'll coming to these are some of the things I'll just ignore. So one of the very important recommendation of this national education policy for transforming the school education is that it has proposed a new pedagogical and curricular structure. This is something, this is the way the school education will be transformed in future. It already started working. A new pedagogical and curricular structure. So before to that, we are all product of a education structure that is 10 plus 2. 10 is the school education up to class 10, and 2 is the higher secondary or senior secondary. The earlier policy ignore about the early childhood care and education. But this new education policy has proposed a completely new structure. I think this is a visible. This recommendation is visible and which can really bring a transformation, a change in our school education system. That is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Now you see the first 5 years of schooling is foundational stage of learning. Foundational stage of learning. Foundational stage of learning is very important for all of us. For all the children, foundation of learning is very important. So foundation of learning includes 3 years of preschool education. 3 years of preschool education and 2 years of primary education, that is class 1 and class 2. Now Bholanath sir was telling, this is the education policy that has taken into account the preschool education. Because the preschool education, as I say, is a foundation on which all other education is rests. If our preschool education is sound, then our all other education will be very good. And realizing the importance of preschool education in the child development, the policy suggested that there should be a 3 years of preschool education before primary education, that is class 1. 3. Now all the Anganwadi, Balwadi, free schools, they will offer a 3 years of preschool education. And that is the preschool education will start at age of 3. At the age of 3, preschool education will start. So at the age of 6, the students will join the class 1, then class 2. This is a very visible change, very important document, and the government also is suggesting and working on that. The Right to Education Act in Government of India, that is related to only the age group 6 to 14 years of age. 6 to 14. Now the government is planning to bring amendment in the Right to Education Act to include preschool education is also part of Right to Education Act. So that means from 3 to 14 years, will be covered in the Right to Education Act, because this foundational stage of learning is very, very important. And the second stage of education is preparatory classes. That is class 3, class 4 and class 5. This is a preparatory classes. Then middle school, class 6, class 7, class 8, middle school. Then we have a secondary. Now we don't have a secondary and senior secondary. Now it is suggested that this is secondary, start from class 9, class 10, class 11 and class 12. The entire structure, I think this is something, a new structure of education suggested by National Education Policy, and I think if it is implemented in the true spirit, and it can bring many changes in the field of education. In that manner, another very, very important recommendation that the National Education Policy has given relating to school education is, and which can bring a change in the education system, is placing importance on literacy and numeracy. Everybody will be agree with me. Literacy and numeracy, that is reading, writing and performing certain basic operation in arithmetic. These are the basic skills for success of our formal education or success of our schooling. But there are many surveys conducted by government, surveys conducted by NGO, that they have indicated that our students are lacking literacy and numeracy skill. Sometimes class 6 students is not able to read the class 2 books. The class 5 students is not able to add 1-digit numbers. So that is the level of literacy and numeracy our students have even at present. Many are there from rural area, tribal area, slum area, even the children from socially disadvantaged section of the group. Realizing the importance of literacy, numeracy and its existence in our school system, our education system. So this education policy has given a lot of importance to on that. The target is given now. All the students studying in class 3 should attain the foundational literacy and numeracy by 2025 all. For this, the Government of India will set up National Mission on Foundational Literacy and Numeracy. It already started. It was started before new education policy come up. And this mission or the similar kind of mission will be created by all the state government at the state level. The main function of this mission or this office will be to monitor or to facilitate in developing literacy and numeracy skills of each and every child. Another recommendation that is suggested for developing literacy and numeracy is peer tutoring. Is a concept that is mentioned. Peer tutoring. Suppose I am a good student, so I can help my students, those who are not able to read and write. Peer tutoring is a concept that was introduced and that it will be implemented at the school level. Not only that, the community members will be involved in our school education. They say each one teach one. The community members, each community member, if you know reading and writing, you can teach, you can help one child to learn the literacy and numeracy. So this is something very, very important, because the government has realized the importance of literacy and numeracy, and for this the structure has been created in our administration, and I hope that this can bring a really transformation in our education system. Another important recommendation given by National Education Policy is it has suggested a new kind of pedagogy. Pedagogy is a way of teaching. Pedagogy is the science of teaching. Pedagogy, which the approach of teaching. Now, how we teach in the school and college, that is something a pedagogy. Mostly in the school is a pedagogy. This national education policy has suggested different kinds of pedagogy. The first thing they have given emphasis on is our school education will be transformed into a experiential learning place. Experiential learning. Experiential learning. Of course, when you listen experiential learning, you may feel that this is something very new or something very abstract. What is this experiential learning? So, in a simplified terms, I can say they want child should learn the subject by involved in hands-on activities. Experiential learning means a child should get the experience and thereby learn. That means the child should learn in different activities. A child should be involved in different activities of the school. Child should not listen passively. Child should be active in the school. If like in a mathematics, what we do? You cannot learn mathematics simply by listening a lecture or listening to the teacher. By reading a book, you cannot learn the mathematics. If you want to learn mathematics, you have to work with numbers. When you work with the number, you get experience of numeracy. Even in the social science, you want to understand the village. So then you have to collect data from the village. You have to observe the different village functions. You want to, by doing that, you get experience, and that is something experiential learning. You want to learn about the plants. Instead of reading the book about the plants, you can go to your, maybe the village, maybe a garden, maybe the school campus, collect different plants, different leaves, different flowers, and that is experience. So I think this is something has a real capacity to bring a change or transformation in the school education system. The child will be getting experience for each subject, science, social science, language, everywhere. The experience is the heart of the pedagogy that is advocated by the national education policy. Every child should get an experience, and thereby they should learn it. Experiential learning. Mostly by doing activity, we can help the child to get experience. Activity means the authentic activity. I say authentic means the real activity. So another pedagogy that is to be that has capacity to change or something new. Our pedagogy should be integrated pedagogy. There are many kinds of integration. It has been suggested in the national education policy. One is they say ICT integrated pedagogy. One. Second one is art integrated pedagogy. Art. So teaching should be through dance, through drama, through poem, through drawing, through pictures. Art integrated pedagogy. Now they also suggested for sports integrated pedagogy. Now the NCERT is working on that. NCERT is giving a guide, is preparing a guidebook on that, how to teach subject in an integrated manner. I think more clarity will come maybe by end of this year. The pedagogy, art integrated pedagogy, sports integrated pedagogy, ICT integrated pedagogy. So the pedagogy will be integrated pedagogy. Then students can be motivated to learn. And the pedagogy should be focused on inquiry and discovery. Because the policy vision is to create a vibrant knowledge society. The policy vision is to develop 21st century skills among the child. 21st century skills like critical thinking, like reflective thinking, like problem solving. If you want to develop all the things, so our methodology, our pedagogy should be inquiry based and discovery based. Instead of confining our teaching to the classroom only, we should go beyond the classroom. We should promote our child to inquiry, to visit, to observe, to record, then to present. So inquiry and discovery method, learner-centered pedagogy, flexible, enjoyable pedagogy. One more thing, like this is very much highlighted here. This education policy talk about the holistic education. Holistic education. I think this is something very, very important. Of course, this is not a completely new concept. We are all familiar with that. All-round development of the child. But this education policy has put this concept in a different way. That is holistic education. Our pedagogy should be holistic. That means we should not give emphasis on only the mental development for the development of science, mathematics, and science and mathematics usually in English. Holistic means our pedagogy should promote development in all the fields. It may be art, it may be drawing, it may be painting, it may be singing. So each and every aspect should be given emphasis on that. A child should grow as a holistic. I think we are happy, now our children are, at least they are getting a different kinds of experience, and which was not possible for us maybe 20 years, 30 years back. That was not there. I think this is something new that is suggested. And something new curricular area that was suggested in the national education policy, I should say. Now, in our school curriculum, this subject will be introduced. It will not be introduced like a separate subject, rather it will be introduced, maybe the part of mathematics, someday part of science, someday part of social science. So this subject will be categorically incorporated in the existing subject, like artificial intelligence, the design thinking, the holistic health or organic living, I think, which is very, very important at this present time. Holistic health and organic living. Environmental education, of course, it was there in our school curriculum. Coding to be included in the math from class 6. So because these are the new subject area that is required for each and every child to adjust in the future society. The future society will be something different, something mechanical. So to exist in the mechanical society, so we should be well acquainted with something some people say like digital literacy. So you should at least have some kind of working knowledge of digital devices. Otherwise you will be obsolete, you will be outdated, you will not able to adjust in the society. So this is a new curricular area that is suggested. I think these are very very interesting things suggested for school education. I cannot say these are the innovative courses, but I have written like innovative courses here. One point they have mentioned in the school education, one is fun courses, which is completely new. It was never suggested in any education policies that I have read. Fun courses, mainly designed for students of class 6, 7, 8. Fun courses. What is these fun courses? They say, for these fun courses, the child will survey the local vocations. The child should gain some hands-on experience on local vocations. And this is a kind of internship. This is a kind of practice with the local vocationals. I have written here carpenters, it may be tailoring, it may be dancer. That India, we have a lot of very rich tradition. We have many traditional vocationals are there, traditional vocations are there in our country. So through education, government want to revive such vocations, government want to preserve this vocation. And it's this is a kind of vocational knowledge the government want to provide to our child. So therefore they say there must be a fun courses for class 6, 7, 8. So during the fun courses or for the fun courses, the child will make a survey of the locality to find out what are the vocations practiced by the local people in this area. Somewhere you will find pottery making, somewhere carpentry is there. So many different kinds of vocations are there. So they will find out. Not only that, they'll do a internship, maybe a 10 days internship. 10 days internship with the local craftsman. Maybe carpenter, they'll work with a carpenter for a 10 days. So this is something new idea. The government need to work on it, how it will be implemented. It is suggested the local government or the state government will notify what are the different crafts, vocations available in which locality. Accordingly, the student can choose and then it can be implemented. One of the very, very important concept it was given, recommended, that is a bagless day. Bagless day. One of the very important problem that our present education system is following is that load of students, school bag. Most of the students, they carry a very, heavy school bag, mostly in the private schools. But now they are suggesting the schools should have bagless day during the entire academic session. That means for some days, the students will go to school only without any bag. It may be only students may be allowed to take only water bottle or tiffin box. No other things. Bagless day. But the question comes of what the students will do during that. This bagless day will be devoted for enrichment activities. Maybe during that day, art exhibition will be done. Students will do the art and maybe exhibited. Quiz competition will be done. Sports will be done. Of course, we are doing little bit, but it will be done. It is suggested that it will be formalized now. The school may decide how many days of bagless day students will come to the school. When they will come without bag, so that the school or the local government will decide. But the idea is fantastic. Because, as I said, the vision of national education policy is to bring a holistic development of the child. When you talk about holistic development, these are very, very important. Arts, quiz and sports, these are very, very important. And the third important point that is suggested are the existing curriculum or national education policy. That will, when we revise the curriculum, it is recommended that the NCERT will revise the national curriculum framework maybe by end of this year 2021. When we revise the national education curriculum framework, we should try to include the knowledge of India, the tribal knowledge, the indigenous knowledge in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and these subjects should be selected and included in the curriculum. So this is so fantastic. Now it is up to the educators and the curriculum makers, teacher educators, education institute to find out what are the very, very important knowledge of India that must be included in the curriculum, that must be taught to our children, so that this traditional knowledge of India can be preserved and can be promoted, can be done it. Maybe the last point I can talk about the assessment in school education. The assessment can be, we have a formative assessment and we can have a summative assessment. But, the National Education Policy 2020 has suggested for formative assessment. Formative assessment has a great role to play to bring quality education in the students. At the same time, the National Education Policy also suggested for examination, like a term and examination is the class 3, class 5 and class 8. For your information, the present policy is no examination, now no like kind of board examination. Earlier, if I remember when I was the student, there are exams are there, class 3, class 5, class 8, the exams are there. If you are failure means you will be detained in that class, you will not be promoted to the next higher class. But government is not recommended that, but it said public examination can be held at the class 3, class 5 and class 8. And the result can be utilized for giving remedial teaching, for giving them extra help so that they can improve their learning performance in the maybe the years to come. But examination should be held. Then we'll talk about the board examination at the school level. The board examination should be held for the class 10 and class 12. Examination is compulsory now. But the examination will be held at two levels. One level is standard, another level is higher level. One level is standard level, little bit easier, and another second level is a higher level, which is complicated. Now as a student should opt whether I should appear for a level 1 or the levels 2. Whether I should appear for, depending on my standard, if I like, I can go for level 1 only. I can get a pass certificate. I can go for somebody one can go for a level 2 and can get a different certificate. But board examination to be held at the two levels, both objective and subjective questions should be used. And for making the assessment more systematic and more reform, the National Education Policy has suggested for National Testing Agency, NTA. It was earlier. The National Testing Agency was issued form earlier, maybe 3-4 years back. But National Education Policy has given lot of responsibility to National Testing Agency. Now the National Testing Agency will conduct all the tests. But a new institutional structure has been created that is known as Parakha. Parakha, the full form they have written, Performance Assessment Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. But this Parakha is an organization that will be created by MHRD. This is a standard setting body. This is a standard setting body for assessment. That means it will guide the schools, the teachers. It will guide to the schools. It will guide to the teachers. It will guide to the different boards how to organize or how to conduct a very systematic and objective examination. So with this, I have in a short time frame, I have, as I said earlier, let me summarize. I have started the making of a national education policy, how the policy has been made. Then the very key important recommendation that I have narrated to you, important recommendation only I have included and I have presented. It includes a new pedagogical structure. It includes some of the foreign courses are there. It's a new experiential pedagogy is there. Then a very systematic assessment is there. So in my opinion, even whatever recommendation is given for school education, if it is implemented in a true spirit, definitely the Indian education system will be transformed, will be systematically changed by 2025 or 2030 as it is target is 2030. By 2030, all of us can see a visible change in the school education system. So with this, I stop here. So thank you very much, the Udala College Principal and HOD Department of Education, and my friend Prafulla. Thank you very much. Now it is over to you, Prafulla.
Thank you, Professor Mohalik sir, for your very insightful and very informative deliberation. Really, it's a very impressive and effective session, and also very much useful session that you have taken. Thank you again for giving detailed information on NEP 2020, its planning, formation and its objectives. Really a very wonderful presentation by Professor Mohalik. Once again I congratulate as well as I thank you. Now it's a time that we should switch over to our next speaker of this session, Professor Dr. Rajiv Ratan Sharma sir. Sharma sir, are you present? Hello, Sharma sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am very much here.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I am very much here.
Okay, sir. Now let me introduce Professor Dr. Rajiv Ratan Sharma. It's my honor and privilege to welcome and introduce our next resource person and speaker of this session to this August gathering. Our next speaker, who is present, going to deliver his talk on higher education, transformation of NEP, NP 2020 on higher education. Dr. Sharma is currently working as a professor and head in the postgraduate department of education, University of Jammu, India. Professor Sharma started his career as a lecturer in a college in 1996 and then as a lecturer in the University of Jammu in 1997. Since then, he has been very fortunate enough to continue his career as an associate professor and as a professor in the same university till date. Professor Sharma did his MA in English. He has been a brilliant scholar and was a gold medalist during his MA career. Professor Sharma is a brilliant teacher, an academician and an eminent speaker too. During his professional career in the university, he has successfully performed his duties and responsibilities in different administrative capacities as a provost of boys hostels, as a coordinator and head of the Department of Education. Professor Sharma has more than 25 years of teaching and research experience. He is one of the most popular and influential practitioners and trend setters for the present generation of teachers who have stressed on application of ICT in teacher education to improve the quality of teaching in higher education institutes in India. As a teacher and academician, he has published more than 50 research papers in various national and international journals. He has delivered more than 50 lectures in different national and international conferences, seminars and webinars. Also, Professor Sharma has participated in 20 workshops and as a coordinator and convener has organized 5 seminars, workshops and conferences in his department and in university as well. Till date, 10 scholars have been awarded with the MPhil and PhD degrees under his active supervision. During his professional career, Professor Sharma has been fortunate enough to visit 6 foreign countries. His focus area has been application of ICT in teacher education, educational, philosophical and cross-cultural studies in education, a kind of a comparative education. So really all the staff members of Udala College and students here also, all are fortunate to get you as our speaker of this today's session. Hope you will elaborately discuss on the topic on higher transformation of higher education through NPE 2020. I hope that my participants, my dear participants, will have a very good time to have you here and listen to you here for your deliberation. Thank you, sir. It's your time. Now you can continue. Over to you, sir. Professor Sharma.
Thank you, Professor Panda. Thank you very much. At the very outset, let me thank, I hope I am audible to all.
Yes,
because
sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
here is a thank you, because here is a 2G speed of the net is available only in the Jammu and Kashmir. So we don't have the 4G privilege. So that is the reason we have to save bandwidth also with that. So in between, I will be switching over. When I will be switching over with the presentation, I will be keeping my definitely my videos will be off. So at the very outset, let me take this occasion to thank the organizers of this webinar on a very important theme of National Education Policy 2020. And Udala College, Udala, is a really is a matter of great very pride, and it's a pride moment for this college that this college has taken up an initiative in organizing this wonderful webinar. And so on my behalf and on the behalf of my department, I would really like to thank Professor Gopal Chandra Behera sir, who is the principal of this college, for really taking up the initiative and supporting the cause of IQAC in organizing this wonderful talk, in which we have already listened to one of the luminary in the form of Professor Ramakant Mohalikji, a dear friend of mine, a respectable colleague as well as a scholar, who has, through his very elaborative and discursive presentation, has made my task a lot easier, because he has taken up a lot of background issues. He has taken how the policy has worked upon and how this policy is going to shape up in the due course of time as far as the school education is concerned. So I am really very thankful to Professor Ramakant Mohalik, who has been my predecessor in this webinar and who has set a tone and has set a lot of expectations from these webinarians as well as from the panelists and the organizers, that I should deliver my best. So let me wish that I may come up to their expectations, and I may be proving myself worthy of that. Then in the series of my gratitude, I will be having my sincere thanks to the convener of this seminar and the HOD of the Department of Udala College, Professor Bholanath Sahuji, who has very elaborately and in a very scholastic manner has really brought in the historical perspective of all of these national policies and how we have been up to this stage. Really nice way of making up the things which has set a tone for the things to follow. So really very thankful to Professor Sahuji and looking forward to meet you in the due course of time, sir. And now my real thanks are to the organizers and real force behind this seminar, this webinar. What is to be really is the IQAC team, Professor Praful Kumar Pandaji, the coordinator of IQAC, and his deputy, Mr. Mohalik. Really very thankful to you for extending me this invite to speak on this important webinar of National Education Policy 2020. I know there has been a lot of talk since July about this policy. There has been a lot of issues which have been discussed. There have been a lot of other issues which have come up, and lot of discussions and lot of panel discussions and webinars has happened, in which I have very actively participated somewhere in on the different platforms. Basing all my experiences and looking forward that I can make myself uh, mm, equal to the task what my organizers have expected me, I will be trying my best to make my presentation. And at the last, I am very thankful. It's a complete house full on the Google Meet. What I am finding out, it's a complete house full. And as I have been briefed by the organizer that many of us are also on the Facebook, on the YouTube, as well as on other platforms. So I am expecting it is to be in the multiples of the hundreds that the webinarians would be there, who would be listening to us, who would be making certain points for the betterment of our talk also in the times to come, that so that we can work upon our own presentations. And so that is where we have to have it. So thank you very much, Udala College, Udala. And I was rather trying myself a lot, whether it is Udala, it is Udala. So from the organizers, when they have started to speak, I started to pick it up, because from this Jammu and Kashmir, there's a chilly weather. Even though we may be trying to pronounce everything correctly, but somehow because of the chillness of the weather, we may be pronouncing it somehow faulty. So I hope that I am pronouncing it Udala College, Udala. So that is how. Very good afternoon to all. And regarding this higher education, I will be speaking from point number 9 to 20, but I will be covering it up in a very summatively way, in a very summative manner. And from page number 30 to 49, I will be covering up. Because the theme of the this higher education covers up a lot of areas. So I don't think, because sometimes back, Professor Mahalik had conveyed me that I am going to have around 35 to 40 minutes time slot, in which you have to make up your talk possible. So that is that within 35 to 40 minutes, I think in case if I will start with the entire of this issues, then it will not be justifiable. So what I will be trying to do, I will be picking up some of the important areas, and then I will be doing up the justification in accordance. As I have means this the higher education, it is having a lot of areas. Like in case, I hope every one of us have undergone this policy document, and we know it that there is an emphasis upon quality universities and colleges. There is a talk on institutional restructuring and consolidation. Then there's a talk about teacher education, vocational education, professional education. There is a talk on the regulation systems as well as national research foundations. So, what I am going to do is, now I am going to make up my presentation. Along with this presentation, I will be making up my discussions also possible, and trying to see that how these points are going to be reality, and how far they are really going to be humanistic as well as realistic, as far as a change and the transformation which we are expecting this national education policy to deliver to us. Because very important thing is to be noted here is that this national education policy, we are seeing it as after almost a gap of 24 years, 1986, and this is 2021. So in case even if we will consider this 2020 July, then it is almost 24 years we are almost having a gap. Whereas in case if we look to the developed countries or the better countries, those which are in the better of the information, almost after every 5 or 7 years, we are going to see the revisions, they are going to see the updations, there are going to be the modifications as well as the amendments in their policies and the programs of education. But somehow, because of one of the other reasons, in India, we have for the last 24 years looking out for this national educational policy, which is a very fundamental to the cause of education, for the promotion of education. And now ultimately when it has landed on, it has landed before us, it has really given us a lot of hopes. But as Professor Mohalik was talking, it's only a 60-page document, 65-page document. And within 65 page, how all of these issues are to be taken up, there are a lot of interpretations onto it. Because unlike something else where we do have issues, a lot of issues have been left, like national curriculum framework or something else. Has been left with the NCERT to come up in the due course of times. Of course, all of that things will be coming up shortly, and accordingly there are going to be a number of other issues which we are going to have it in the due course of time. So I will be basing my talk on the simple of the reasons is that how this far is really causing a transformation in our educational system, how it is really causing a change in our education system, and why it is going to be so promising to all of us. So let me begin with my presentation, and I hope the moment it is available, the organizer from the other side can nod, and I will be definitely taking it up. Just a minute. So, is my screen visible? Am I sharing my screen?
Visible, sir. Visible.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So, this is what I am saying about. I will be talking about the inclusiveness and the equity. How equity and inclusiveness is there when we are looking for the higher education. Because in India, but in case by this time, if we see to our development of education, we may be finding this as two of the factors which we are always talking about, and how this, because in somehow because in the school education, this issue has been somehow taken care of. Because of the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, and later on with the other of the issues, and a lot of things have undergone with it. But as far as the higher education is concerned, we are still very stagnant if we are going with it, because our higher education is still at a decimal of around 28%. Which is as per the projections of the government. So this is what I will be looking at how this policy is going to be promoting inclusiveness and equity as far as the higher education is concerned. The first question which I will be asking about, does this policy promote transformation? Yes, answer would be why? Because higher education, wherever we are looking out for in a country, we are looking it as a vehicle of change. There is going to be a change in the economy, there's going to be a change in the society, there's going to be a change, and so everywhere, wherever we are to have the higher education, we should be expecting it to be a change. So, if we compare ourselves, means India with the rest of the countries where we do have higher education as really one of the important segment of our development, of the development in those countries. Yes, it has brought change. It has brought the social change. It has brought the economic change, and it has opened up a lot of areas for the people to explore. Just because that they have been exposed to this of the quality education, higher education, and it has been able to be a transformative agent. Uh, yes, how it's going to be promoting growth for higher education from the general, professional to the vocational, everywhere. And when we are talking about the transformation, definitely we are looking out that first of all, by this last 73, 4 years, we have been by this time to a gross enrollment ratio of the higher education was about to be 20 or 25 or 28%. But how it is going to be really by 2030, there is a sudden and a quantum jump of around 25% more. How it is going to be, and so we are looking out for that. This is really going to be a change in that very way. Uh, because this policy talks about GDP, the contribution to the education to a tune of 6%. Well, for the last so many years, we have not been able to achieve. So, can we do it? Will it be possibly be happening? Let's. This is one of the way. In case if we can do it, we can have this transformation also. Um, this higher education policy, as far as higher education in this policy is concerned, it talks about less of regulations. And while we are reading this document, we may be finding it tight but light regulation. Tight but light. I will come to it a bit later. There is to be more talk of autonomy. There is more of talk of autonomy, more of freedom to the faculty, more of freedom to the curriculum making, more of the freedom to the students, more of having their own ways of making up the things. And that is a beauty which is for the very first time we are finding it out. Because as far as the autonomy is concerned, the educational autonomy 1986 did talk of, but could not deliver as has been expected or as we may be expecting it to be. But along with it,